Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you know, this is going to be another kind of physique update and just an update in where I'm at in terms of comp prep. Now coming towards 7 weeks out from the WNBF UK, which is my first planned show. And so, yeah, things are getting a little bit more real. We're going to do a physique comparison between, I think there's a 5 weeks, between 4 or 5 weeks, I can't remember exactly, close to 3.5 pounds between that. And you're just going to be able to see some of the small changes that you can expect towards the end of a contest prep. And also you're going to get a little bit of insights in terms of a flatter versus more full physique, because one of them was more full due to an extra refeed that was had. But essentially in terms of like the absolute numbers, I'm now, my lowest weight I've seen on the scale is about 176 pounds. I am more regularly seeing like 177s. So I'm definitely still losing. And my previous stage weight was anywhere from 175, which was on the high end, and that's glycogen loaded, whereas 176 is depleted, all the way down to just below 170, kind of within about 170. So yeah, when I'm carved up, I'm probably a couple of pounds heavier than what I am typically. So I'm like 178. So I'm considerably heavier now, but I would say my condition is very close to where it has been previously. Maybe I'll add that to this vlog, but it might get too long if I end up doing that. And so, yeah, let's run through a comparison, and then I'll kind of finish off just talking about how I'm feeling in terms of everything and how like various metrics are going. So guys, I thought we'd walk through a bit of a physique comparison. Unfortunately, this is actually the best I have right now to provide you. Ideally, I'd actually have you in here, like where my physique updates often are, where I'm in my posing trunks. But this is pretty much the same lighting. It actually looks slightly different left to right for some reason. I don't know if my gym's updated their lighting or something. But anyway, it's close enough for us to make a comparison. On the left here, I am 179.6 pounds. That was 5 weeks before here, which is actually today, where I weighed in 176.2 pounds, so a 3.4 pound difference, and obviously 5 weeks. On the left here, that was also a week where I had an extra refeed. So I do think I look a little bit fuller in this front shot. And I think in general, I will look fuller because I think I'm running pretty flat at the moment, especially because this physique on the right here is after the most number of low days that I would typically have. My nutrition actually fundamentally hasn't changed. I still have the same kind of 5 low days to 2 high days of around 5 days of 2,700 calories and then 2 higher days at 3,400. But obviously lots of other things have gone on during this period of time. So anyway, looking kind of top to bottom here, if I'm trying to compare, there is a little bit more quad detail. So you can see here, these lines through my quad here are a little bit harder. You can see them more clearly on the left. Oh, sorry, this would be the right quad, right? You can see definitely more detail coming through here, through my hip. Not too dissimilar in this shot, at least, that you're seeing. And then, yeah, it's just a bit harsher lighting on my chest here, which I think is making my like upper body look more full. But otherwise, pretty similar side by side. So then, let's play it through. Until we get a side shot here. Right. Pretty much hitting it in both. Oh, let's get it back. And I'd hope my posing on the right has improved to the posing on the left, but you never can be sure, but I'm definitely working on it. So when we start bottom to top, I can't really see any distinctive changes, maybe a little bit more cut out, but nothing too much that I can identify there. Then looking at the obliques, similar levels of tightness. You can see the obliques coming through, chest is fully striated through, similar vascularity through the arms, through the delts. I'd just say my delts look potentially a little bit flatter on the right. It's not much different. Maybe a little bit more detail coming through here that I wasn't getting through here, but ultimately very, very similar left to right. I think we're going to see more of the change in some of the rear shots because that's where I've been holding more of my body fat. So let's get I can't. Is there actually not going to be a side by side? Hey, we're basically there with that. So let's hold on that. Right. Come on. I can do it. Can I pause like that? There you go. So I'm pretty much hitting it So I think you can really see this through the hamstrings here. They're more cut out, they're more detailed through here, definitely. And potentially a little bit of vascularity coming through them as well, which wasn't evident here at all. Obviously, I'm not even pulling, like, I haven't even got the glute detail probably to kind of identify a little bit coming through the rear here. The lighting doesn't hit my legs particularly well in here. You'll notice that hits the upper body far, far better. And also, my back is all shadowed. So probably the areas where I'm seeing the biggest change, which is my posterior, you're not able to see it, but you can definitely see here like some vascularity coming through there, which I wasn't really garnering on the left here. So this is where most of the improvements have been made. Even here, details are a little bit more clear through the upper back there, which is nice to see, because like I said, that's where I was holding on to more of the body fat. I think it's because I thought someone was going to come in clearly on the left there. So we'll get the other side relaxed here. Get into the shot. Here we go. Again, I don't expect to see much difference left to right between the two. Hitting it similarly well. The actual camera angle is slightly different, I think. I know I changed that because I'm standing in basically the same place, because you can see that where I'm stood. But you can see the right is a bit more zoomed in, and I think it's actually coming... I don't know if the camera is lower. I think it's actually, the camera might be a bit higher up on the tripod. All these little things can make a difference, just how the physique is appearing, because I actually think my upper body is looking bigger on that, from that side. All right, let's get into front double. And like here, you can really see lighting differences. Like it's just much harsher shadows on the left here versus the right. It's making my midsection look like washed out almost, although it looks fairly washed out here, but more on this side. So yeah, going from lower upwards, and again you can see these lines here through the rectus femoris, the separation between the heads of the quad, they're just getting a little harsher through there, and more detail coming through. Like here we can actually see the separation there where it was kind of struggling to come through a little bit. Vascularity doesn't look too different on the lower body there. And again, I think the lower body is where I was holding more body fat than the upper body. Upper body looks very, very similar overall, to be honest, left to right. So nothing I'm particularly identifying on that. Pretty happy with it. So let's go through. But yeah, definitely tighter through the legs, which you can see on that shot. Again, this shot looks pretty similar. Again, maybe a little fuller through the chest, through the delts on the left versus the right, I think. But a lot of that could come down to just the slight lighting difference and the shadows. But again, the legs to me just look tighter on the right, and that's pretty much the main difference that you're seeing with those number of pounds that are being dropped. And I am getting, the closer and closer you get to stage, the fewer and fewer scale weight changes you expect to see. But little details in the physique start popping. So here I think it's very obvious. My legs look tighter. The kind of glute ham tie-in is a bit more separated. Like there's more of a difference between my glute to my hamstring. The hamstring, it looks like it's hanging more when you're looking here. That's what I mean. I should be able to do this here. And you can see the glutes here. You can see some detail coming through, but these are much deeper lines. You can start to see it's actually coming towards the butthole, which is what I eventually want to see. And even through here, not that that's showing, but the kind of the quads are coming through here. The separation between the hamstring and the glute is tighter here. So I'm really pleased with that, actually. And then the upper body, very, very similar. My upper body comes in much sooner than my lower body, like most people, but it looks almost identical there. But it's really good to see the leg change, actually, and that's where the majority of the body fat needed to come from and has come from. Again, kind of similar on the side tricep there. And again, you can just see it's, even though the lighting's actually hitting me really nicely here, I do think my legs are looking tighter on the right. Like with the detail coming through on that rear quad that you're not able to see or identify over here at all. And again, this is going to show it. So you can see even just setting the legs, actually looks very deep, the hamstring lines here, but I know there's more condition through here and through my legs here, and that's kind of shown through there, the shadowing versus on that side. But again, lighting can really play a big role. Upper body, you're probably not going to see too much because again, it's hidden all in shadows. See if there's anything that I can identify. I think when I hit my rear lat spread or I go into it, you'll be able to see it a bit more, because yeah, it's just complete shadow. I have actually changed how I hit my rear double bicep. So here I'm actually probably leaning back quite heavily, which is why probably a bit more of a creasing here, whereas I don't lean back as much anymore. That was some advice Cliff gave me, and I definitely think it helped just present my back a little bit better. Actually, I similarly do it on the rear double bicep. So yeah, looking at this, I could identify on the right here, because the light's actually allowing you can see this kind of feathering through the lats, which is really nice. But it's also coming through the lower back a little bit too, which I've always struggled with getting much detail through my erectors there. But you can see they're starting to, like, there's some lines through these like lumps of muscle here, whereas on this side there was that little bit of feathering coming through the lats. Very similar left to right, I would say, but that body fat here has gone. So like I'm getting this detail through here that I wasn't able to achieve over there. So again, that's the final like pinches coming away, which is quite nice to see. Yeah, I didn't really get to see it very much on the left. And again, yeah, slight posing difference on this where I'm standing, at least I was until I leant back there, but generally standing a little bit taller. I think it looks good. I like both, to be honest, but I think that little change will hold me well. And again, here we're just basically going to see the same. My abs and obliques, I don't think probably look very different left to right, pretty much identical. And it's just the legs that look sharper. And it is that classic bringing in the lower body, and do you sacrifice any upper body? And yeah, it's just not wanting to lose any of that fullness. So this shot, I just wanted to see if there was any differences upper body wise. Again, I think the lighting and potentially just being bigger and fuller is helping here, but I just wanted to see if there was any more like details. Maybe some of these lines across my chest are looking a bit sharper. I'm not sure. It's very similar, to be fair. But I do love this shot under this lighting in particular. And then possibly waist looking a bit smaller on the right versus the left. But I doubt I've got too much more to come off. I probably have lost a bit around my waist given the lower back changes, which is quite cool. Then I hit some of my classic shots, so I can just kind of run through those. There's not much you're going to see that's different. Although, again, that really showcased the difference in lower body conditioning here, where it's just sharper lines coming through the legs, which is nice to see. I wouldn't say my posing looks much better, though. Looks very, very similar. I'm hitting this shot better on the right for sure, though. It's that rotation of the torso, bringing this chest across, that lat sweeping a bit more back here. Then this one looks very similar so far. I think my back almost looks a bit thicker here, but I think that is just body fat, whereas I think it's come off on the right here. So I think that's the physique update, basically. And I just wanted to run you through there, just the very small changes that happen towards the end of like a contest prep when you're not expecting to see dramatic changes. I know for me, there's still more body fat to come off the rear of my physique, and the quads are pretty much fully through now, but I think there's probably more that could come through there. The area I really want to see that detail is on from the back. It's getting basically, and you can't see it here properly because again, I'm all in shadow. It would look better if I had my lighting that I have here, but it's getting the glutes kind of through the rear essentially. So that's a comparison. As you will have seen, not huge changes, but there is a difference between being stage ready and or even stage ready and then like elite condition or good condition and elite condition. And so what I'm trying to say is, like, those little details will matter when there is little between people. The Olympics have just recently been on, and like some people are beating one another by like the smallest margins, and that can happen in various sports. And so if I have this time now to be able to balance, not getting too flat, not losing muscle, but being able to bring those just the tiny little extra striations and details in my physique that I think I can do with Cliff, then we will. He actually asked me recently, like, what look do I want? Like, do I have a preference? Whatever's most competitive for me is the look that I want. And he was like, do you want skinless or what have you? And I was like, hey, if that's skinless, cool. I think it probably needs to be, so long as we don't sacrifice size. Because if I sacrifice size, I sacrifice shape, and I don't have shape to sacrifice because shape is probably the thing that I'm weaker on. Symmetry around, probably not my strongest. But muscularity, I'm not bad. And condition, that's where I want to get skinless. So we've said skinless is the goal, so we're going to be pushing for that. At the moment though, as I think I said in the comparison, my nutrition hasn't changed. So we're keeping that level at the moment, which I'm kind of thankful for in some ways, because I will say the diet fatigue has began to build. So when I think about diet fatigue, there's a few things I think about. One is probably like libido. I think I spoke about that last time. That one's continued to decline a little bit. It's definitely not terrible. But if I don't think about it, which I don't tend to, I don't really know that it's there or not. But when I think about it, and I might have to force myself in a way to think about it, which might sound weird, then yeah, things function. Let's put it that way. Then food focus is definitely higher. It's definitely higher, but to be honest, I follow basically a meal plan, and I've been following the same sort of foods each and every day for like a good month or so. So it's pretty easy in that regard, but I still like clock watch to some degree. Some days are better than others. And I guess that's actually a theme that I can say is like some days are better than others. Some days I'm more irritable, more low energy, more hungry. And other days I'm absolutely like almost feel normal, quote unquote normal. I say that now, but everyone has competed. When you think you're normal during prep, like it's still very sub, but still decent. So that's kind of the food focus. Hunger, again, some days is completely manageable and fine. Like it's 5 now, and I typically would have eaten by now, and I'm not even really feeling hungry, which is kind of weird for me because I am more regularly getting hungry. I'm having days where I'm eating a meal and I don't feel satisfied and I want more. My refeeds I'm less flexible with. I'm wanting to be more structured, know what's coming, because I'm like, again, planning my day ahead to be able to take control of that. Still doing, at the moment, me and Charlotte still having 1 to 2 takeaways a week. These are becoming a little bit more challenging though, because I'm much less flexible. I kind of have the places I am confident that I'm able to track pretty well and that fit the bill for what I want. And so, yeah, it's getting a little bit less easy to kind of do those together. Of which those places, if you're wondering, is things like, again, Domino's. Like I have that off season, I've had that prep, like it just works super well for me. I get the same thing every time. Often McDonald's works super well. Again, it's very like these places have to have a very systemized way of doing things because they only buy certain quantities of the products that they're getting. So it has to have a certain amount of cheese on that pizza. The dough has to be very, very similar. They can't mess around because they've got so many that they need to make. Same with burgers and chips at McDonald's. They all need to be within a percentage range of accurate because the company has only bought a certain amount because they know they're going to sell a certain amount. So this is why they're pretty good for me, I find. So those are my like 2 go-tos. But outside of that, Wagamama has always been a go-to as well. And the nutritional information, when I look at it and I get the food, I'm like, yeah, that seems about right. And again, these kind of chains, they are much better at estimating their kind of macronutrients and calories than other places. But I have the awareness to be able to modify if I need to. So anyway, that's kind of happened. So hunger is up a little bit, but it's not terrible. Like I said, some days I don't notice it. Sleep is getting a little bit worse, where I was waking up once a night, which is great. I'm closer to 2, sometimes 3. And I'm finding that when I do have poorer sleep, I might want more caffeine. And so I typically just have my one sugar-free kind of Monster or whatever it is. I've been having C4, and that's 160 milligrams of caffeine. I then on the rare occasion, and this is like maybe every other week, have 75 milligrams of caffeine through a half calf Tassimo low caffeine kind of coffee. But I do notice the negative effects of that on my sleep. So it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. So it's something that I don't try and do too often. So yeah, sleep is taking a little bit of a knock, but still pretty damn good, to be honest with you. And so I think I'm holding up very, very well. In terms of like general energy, again, I have good and bad days, but mostly good. I can still easily get my steps in. Actually, this week I've been very often over them. And then, what else? Training performance, that's what I need to talk about. I'm still holding numbers. Very important. Still holding them. Lower body is getting tougher. I'm having to motivate myself a little bit more for those. Having to hype myself a little bit more, but nothing too terrible, and still holding numbers. So I'm very, very pleased about that, because yeah, the more I can hold on to those sort of metrics, I know muscle is more likely to be held onto as well, and you need the muscle to show the condition. If you lose muscle in the process of losing fat, then you're kind of like, wow, you're trying to show off more condition, but you need the muscle to be pushing against the skin to show condition. And if you're losing muscle, then you're going to have a harder time showing condition. So, you know, like when people really diet hard, but they sacrifice muscle to get condition, it's just, that's not a great way to go about it. You need to maintain that condition to make it work for you. So yeah, without this getting super long and rambly, that's where I'm at with things. We'll have to see how it all goes. I do have some ideas of shows that I might want to do early, if Cliff is willing and I'm able to, because that will mean traveling. But I'm quite excited about it. I haven't started any of the prep in terms of shaving like my leg hair or anything like that. You would have seen from those videos. That will probably come in like 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah, it's getting to the pointy end, but we're still holding up pretty good. So I'm pretty happy about it. As always, guys, if you have any questions about it, let me know. And I appreciate your support. Do be sure to subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And I will catch you in the next one. Take care.